Welcome back to the Kyle Olson Show. My editor of Breitbart News, Matt Boyle, recently wrote about President Trump's path to 270 electoral votes, and he joins me now. So, Matt, you wrote on September 29th that the president's path is, quote, widening, which may be surprising given the mainstream media polls. So what do you mean by that?
Well, look, the way I would break the Electoral College down, first off, you have to win 270 electoral votes to win the White House, right? So President Trump needs to win 270 electoral votes. He won 306 last time to win re-election. So to get there, I would break it down into 4 tiers. So the first tier, I would include the red states out there. And in that, I would include the traditionally red states that Democrats are contesting. That includes Georgia, Texas, and Arizona. In tier 1, if assuming President Trump holds together all the red states, that would be 191 electoral votes. Now, those 3 red states that the Democrats are contesting, Georgia, Texas, and Arizona, all seem to be swinging back the president's way. There's a new poll out of Arizona today from Trafalgar Group that has President Trump up 4 points in Arizona. There's polling out of Texas that shows President Trump with a solid lead consistently over the last month or so. And Georgia, same thing. So all of those states seem to be coming home and in the president's column. So that's tier 1, 191 electoral votes. Tier 2, these are battleground states. So we're getting into tier 2. I would have 2 states, Ohio and Iowa. Ohio is 18 electoral votes. Iowa is 6. President Trump is doing very strongly in both states, to the point where his campaign has actually pulled down television ads for the time being because they're going to use the resources elsewhere where they need to. They're very confident in those 2 states. That's another 24 electoral votes. That would be tiers 1 and 2 together would be 215 electoral votes for President Trump.
So if I can stop you right there, because there was that reporting that they did pull down those ads, and some people would say, well, that means that they don't think that they can win those states, but you're saying the opposite.
I think that it's very much the opposite. My sources in the Trump campaign are very confident in Ohio and Iowa. They feel very strongly about both states, and all trends on the ground, including many of the public polls, as well as voter registration statistics and whatnot in each state, suggest that they're in very good shape in each state. So tier 2, I think if you put tier 2 and tier 1 together, you're at 215 electoral votes. Then tier 3, North Carolina and Florida. So in Florida, the president has taken the lead in the latest surveys out of Fox, the Fox affiliate in Orlando, which, by the way, called the 2008 election. They called the 2016 election. So they've gotten these right in Florida consistently. He's up now 3% in Florida. Florida is 29 electoral votes. North Carolina is 15 electoral votes. Now, in North Carolina, you've got the Democrat Senate candidate, Cal Cunningham, is facing a major sexting scandal where the U.S. Army Reserves are now investigating him. He's a lieutenant colonel in the Army Reserves, and he was having an affair and sexting scandal with an enlisted member's wife. This is a huge deal. There's national security and blackmail implications here. There are apparently illicit photographs of Cal Cunningham, the Democrat Senate nominee there. This has completely changed the race in North Carolina. It was already tightening in North Carolina. There were several polls that had the president in the lead. There are several polls that showed it, and almost every poll out of North Carolina has showed it inside the margin of error. So this is a huge deal and a huge step in the right direction for the president. So if you put Florida and North Carolina together, that's tier 3. With tiers 1 and 2, you're at now 259 electoral votes. Then there's any number of different combinations that can get you over the top. So first and foremost, I would also put, as of the latest public polling, Maine's 2nd congressional district. Maine's one of those 2 states that splits its electoral votes by congressional district. Maine's 2nd district, President Trump has a consistent and strong lead. He's up 8 points in the latest Vanguard Daily News poll. So I think that's another electoral vote in the president's column. That gets him to 260. Then that puts any number of the following states can get President Trump over the top, 270 or more, and get him reelected to the White House. They include Pennsylvania, which has 20 electoral votes, and the president's doing very strong there in the recent voter registration statistics, and the public polling is pretty close in that state, except for a couple of handfuls of outliers. Then there is Wisconsin, which is 10 electoral votes, Michigan, which is 16, Minnesota, which is 10. Biden, assuming President Trump can hold that core of tiers 1 through 3 together, Biden would have to go 4 for 4 in the upper Rust Belt there of Pennsylvania, Michigan, Minnesota, and Wisconsin to win the White House. And that also doesn't even address other potential pickup opportunities for President Trump. He's competitive in Nevada. Voter registration data and public polling out of Nevada suggests that the president has a chance to flip Nevada. He didn't win it in 2016, but he came close. New Mexico remains a possibility. Colorado remains a possibility. New Hampshire remains a possibility. And there are potentially other ones out there, but those are kind of the big ones. But anyway, the point here is that in the public polling, especially the numbers that we've seen over the last week or so, President Trump is in very strong position heading into the final stretch here of his reelection campaign. And Biden's going to have to run a near perfect month of October to hold and go 4 for 4 in the upper Rust Belt, which is why you see Biden, for the most part, with a couple of exceptions. He was out in Arizona yesterday, and he was in Florida recently. But with a couple of those exceptions, he's been mostly spending his time in those upper Rust Belt states, and that there's a reason for that. Is because Biden knows just how close President Trump is to cracking this code and winning re-election, getting over the
well, and I think his numerous visits to Pennsylvania are convenient because Pennsylvania, especially Philadelphia, is so close to Delaware, which is where he lives, and it sort of gives him a way to get out of Delaware and go somewhere else. But let's go back to, let's see here. Let's go back to Tier 3. You've got North Carolina and Florida. So there's this major scandal going on in North Carolina. According to the public polling, Tom Tillis, the incumbent senator, has been down, has not, he's been struggling there. But then it seems to me like this scandal has sort of changed everything. Could that, and granted there's, about less than a month ago, could that turn the tide in North Carolina? And is that what you're seeing there?
Absolutely, it can, and I think it is turning the tide. If you watch the local news or you read the local newspaper in North Carolina all day, every day for a week straight now, it's been nonstop coverage. Front page, above the fold, top of the broadcast of every major broadcast in Raleigh and other major cities throughout the state of this scandal. This has absolutely permeated the public mind down there, and people are concerned that if Cal Cunningham were to be elected to the U.S. Senate, this Democrat would be a national security risk and would be somebody who would have a cloud over him that he would not be able to execute the duties of the office faithfully if the voters were to send him there. So I think that's really causing people second guess and can reconsider their choice there. But the thing is that for Biden to win North Carolina, which has been a state that's been trending Republican for many years. Mitt Romney, it was the only battleground state he flipped back from Barack Obama in 2012. For Biden to flip it back to the Democrats for the first time in over a decade, he would have to have a really strong performance down ticket from Cal Cunningham, and this is severely damaging Joe Biden's chances to win the state of North Carolina. Also, Biden and Kamala Harris have remained silent about this scandal until now. But the fact that she hasn't weighed in at all is particularly noteworthy. It's safe to assume, I think, at this stage that her silence is disapproval of her husband's actions. And again, this is broader than just a sex scandal. This is a national security scandal and a military scandal. And again, somebody with this lack of judgment can't be trusted to serve in the United States Senate. So then the question really becomes, why did Joe Biden endorse him? Joe Biden endorsed the guy, right? So does Joe Biden stand by that endorsement? What about other Democrats? There's 38 Democrats in the U.S. Senate that have donated to his campaign. Are they okay with that money? Is that it's so on and so forth. There's so many questions here, and I think that it's opened the floodgates in North Carolina in a way that for Senator Tillis cleared the path for him to win re-election and cleared the path for President Trump to defeat Joe Biden.
Interesting. Matt Boyle, Washington political editor at Breitbart News. Thanks for joining me today.
All right. Thanks for having me.
This is the Kyle Olson Show. We'll be right back.